Your daughter was brought to our hospital in an emergency. Currently, both mother and child are in a very critical condition.
That day, I received an unexpected call from the obstetrics clinic where my daughter was attending. Not far from our house, my daughter was found immobile, covered in heavy snow. Someone living in the neighboring house happened to see her and promptly called for an ambulance. Upon hearing the news, my heart raced with panic, but without a second thought, I drove hastily towards the hospital. Please let my daughter be safe, and the child she's carrying too. Please, God! The 2-hour drive to the hospital felt incredibly long. When I arrived at the hospital, I was faced with harsh reality. My name is Mary. I'm a 55-year-old woman. I lost my beloved husband in a sudden accident 3 years ago. Since then, I have been living in sorrow. My daughter, Emily, who already has a family and started a new life, would often check in on me, worrying about my loneliness. However, not wanting to be a burden on her new family, I live alone about a 2-hour drive from where she lives. Emily, now 27, has always been incredibly patient since she was young and rarely talks about her troubles.
It's okay, Mom. We're doing well and having a good time.
She would always respond in a positive and cheerful manner during our phone calls. Emily's husband, Mike, is a very outgoing person. From the first time we met, he spoke to me as if we'd known each other for years. During their wedding preparations, he often prioritized his own thoughts over Emily's wishes. So I always wondered if she truly felt happy and had no concerns. I never imagined that things would take such a tragic turn. Why did she go out on a day when it was snowing so heavily during her pregnancy? All I can do is hope that she's okay. When I hurried to the hospital, the kind person who called the ambulance explained the details of what happened. The doctor said,
Your daughter is currently unconscious and in a very precarious situation.
To my surprise, when she was first brought to the hospital, Emily was conscious. She strongly insisted not to inform her husband and only gave my contact information to the staff. Entering the patient room, Emily was asleep. Gently squeezing the cold hand of Emily, wondering if she's still asleep, I called out her name repeatedly. However, no matter how much I wished, her eyes never opened. After a while, she quietly passed away. I can't believe that my precious Emily, the most important person in my heart, is no longer in this world. Sunk in deep sorrow, I felt so heavy that even standing up seemed difficult. Amidst this, I remembered I had to inform my daughter's husband, Mike. I took out my cell phone and called him. After several rings, Mike finally answered. From his voice, it was evident he was significantly drunk. His words were slurred, clearly revealing his level of drunkenness. Hello? However, Mike mistook my voice for his wife, Emily, and began selfishly talking about his own affairs.
Hey, Emily, did you clear the snow from the front porch? If you're done, come pick me up fast.
Mike, something terrible has happened. Emily is no longer with us.
What? What are you talking about? Who are you? Aren't you Emily?
Taking a deep breath, holding back my tears, I told him that I am her mother. Mike was momentarily at a loss for words. A silence ensued. However, afterward, he doubted my words, seemingly unable to accept the fact that our daughter had passed away. Mike, you asked pregnant Emily to clear the snow from the porch? That's why this tragic incident happened.
Snow shoveling? Why do you have such information? Did Emily tell you something?
No, our neighbor informed me. The neighbor, on their way home, found Emily buried in snow. Concerned for her well-being, they approached her, and Emily confessed something. Mike, since the onset of the snow, made Emily shovel daily. Even when pregnant, Emily, with her heavy belly, diligently shoveled snow. She seemed to have slipped, hit her head hard, and gradually lost consciousness.
That's not true. I don't recall forcing her to shovel snow.
Don't hide the truth. According to the information I've received, you told my daughter not to come inside until all the snow is cleared.
Why are you making such assumptions? Outsiders shouldn't interfere in marital matters. Moreover, don't make such tasteless jokes. There's no way Emily would be in that condition.
I calmly kept telling Mike the sad fact that our daughter had passed away, but he didn't show any signs of believing it. Please come home as soon as possible, using a taxi or something. I'm also planning to rush home. Let's discuss the truth face to face.
You two probably plan to blame me. My head is heavy. I'm so drunk everything's spinning.
After that, he abruptly ended the call. The words I conveyed with all my heart might not have reached Mike's ears at all. His incomprehensible attitude left me shocked and disappointed. I hadn't expected things to turn out this way. I didn't feel like calling him again and deeply pondered what action to take. Without the energy to undertake the long 2-hour journey back, I decided to spend the night at my daughter's place. As I looked out at the nighttime cityscape of downtown while traveling by taxi, I arrived at Emily's house. What caught my eye was the remnants of dinner preparation in the kitchen. Onions and radishes were left half-cut, showing how normal her daily life had been. Just a few hours ago, she had been living a normal life here. I can't hear her voice anymore. The pain in my heart is unbearable. Oh, I wish I could see Emily. With that cry from my heart and unstoppable tears, I began cleaning up the kitchen. After a while, I found something unexpected. It was her diary, found in the kitchen storage. The moment I found the diary, memories of episodes told by neighbors and the attending doctor came back to me. If I open this diary, I might be able to learn about her feelings and daily life, even just a little. Right now, what I want to know most is how my daughter spent her days and what she felt. I felt that the answers might be in this diary, and with trembling hands, I began to turn its pages. Shocking truths and emotions were detailed within. After becoming pregnant, her life seemed to gradually get harder. Her health deteriorated, and as a result, she had to call in sick almost daily. Eventually, she chose to resign rather than take a long-term leave. Ever since she retired, it seems that Mike has been hurling harsh words at her.
Even though you're a housewife, you're absolutely useless. You just indulge in luxury with the money I earn.
Such words often reached their daughter's ears. Even during her morning sickness while pregnant, she continued to prepare daily meals and pack lunches due to Mike's demanding nature. Furthermore, Mike often called during his break time at work. These calls were mostly about detailed household chores and specific demands, barely giving her a moment to breathe. Despite facing such a grueling daily life, why didn't she tell me anything? If I had known sooner, could I have helped her? Amidst this, another crucial fact was revealed.
If you ever think of running away from this life with me, there's something you should know. I will have the custody of our child. You won't get a single chance to see them.
This threatening remark amplified her insecurity about raising the child on her own, and she ended up being bound to Mike. When I slowly closed the last page of my daughter's diary, my heart was filled with remorse for my suffering daughter and deep hatred towards Mike. Tears flowed uncontrollably, wetting my face in an instant. That man tormenting my daughter to this extent. I must do something for her. However, with just this diary, I can't prove Mike's involvement in her demise. I carefully searched every single room, especially looking for concrete evidence that indicated she was kicked out of the house on that snowy night. However, no such physical evidence was found. As the sunset and night approached, a phone left in a corner of my daughter's room started ringing. The caller ID showed, as expected, it was Mike. When I answered, an irritated Mike's shouting echoed.
What are you dilly-dallying for, Emily? Don't think you can fool me by playing dead. Make my favorite meal tonight and wait for me.
You still don't get it, do you? She's no longer in this world.
Is that you again, mother-in-law? If you're so insistent, why not show me concrete evidence?
All right, I will. Just wait and see. I immediately hung up the phone, took a photo of my daughter's death certificate, and sent it to him as a message. I wanted to see how he would react to the truth. As expected, he called back after a short while. You understand now, right?
I didn't expect it, but Emily really passed away, huh? But I'll receive the life insurance money, so I'll focus on starting a new life. By the way, how are you going to handle the funeral? It seems like a lot of work. You're not expecting me to do it, right?
Listening to his cold and heartless comments, Mary's hand clenched her phone in anger and tremor. There's no way I can let such a man lead my beloved daughter's funeral. I have to take on the responsibility of giving her a proper send-off. Gathering my composure, I calmly suggested to Mike, I'll take care of all the funeral arrangements and bear the responsibilities of the main mourner. I want you to attend as her husband.
So you'll cover all the funeral expenses, right? I'll keep the condolence money.
Understood.
Good. My relatives will attend, so handle them well. Also, I expect a decent amount from your relatives. Make sure to invite them.
Then, in an excited tone, Mike exclaimed,
I have exciting plans, so I'll be relaxing at a luxury hotel.
And promptly hung up the phone. His calculating nature was truly troublesome. Even with our daughter's sudden demise, Mike seemed indifferent, showing no guilt or regret towards her or the future grandchild. My deep sorrow for my lost Emily grew into rage towards Mike, burning intensely like a flame. Mike, who caused so much pain to my precious daughter, needs to pay for his sins. With that resolve, I focused on the funeral preparations. I proceeded with the necessary formalities and preparations at my daughter's house. And finally, the sorrowful day arrived. On the day of the funeral, Mike, with his hands in his pockets, approached me with a contented smile.
I plan to act the part of the grieving husband. As the funeral organizer, I hope you'll do your part well. Once the funeral is over, I'll take the condolence money and leave immediately.
His self-centered words infuriated me, but giving my daughter a dignified send-off was my top priority. I held back my anger and responded calmly. Family, relatives, and friends were present. They mourned, saying,
"To lose her so soon."
The sorrow is indescribable.
I still can't believe it.
After the incense-burning ceremony ended, it was time for remarks. I stepped up to the microphone.
Thank you all for gathering here on the Memorial Day of my beloved daughter, Emily. What I want to share is...
I began to explain the circumstances, leading to my daughter's fate in detail. To the assembled relatives and friends, the atmosphere of the hall changed dramatically with my confession. As the voices of surprise and anger grew louder, Mike suddenly jumped up from his seat, raising his voice sharply.
Don't be deceived by her words. Despite my repeated requests, Emily started shoveling snow on her own. It's because of that the tragedy occurred. This is the real story.
I was lost for words, shocked and confused by Mike's sudden claim and his brief attempt at tearful acting. However, anticipating such behavior from Mike, I slowly pulled out the diary I had prepared, my daughter's diary, and began to turn to the page to reveal its content. This is an excerpt from the diary my daughter left behind. According to the diary, Mike had instructed her to clean every corner of the house, but being heavily pregnant, she couldn't clean perfectly. In retaliation, Mike coldly threw away the dinner she was about to eat. In her diary, she was deeply concerned about the health of her future child.
That's an exaggeration. The food just accidentally fell off the table. Why are you trying to paint me as the villain? Isn't she just a bit paranoid?
Even as Mike tried to interrupt, I continued reading the diary to convey the truth. My daughter had considered divorcing several times. However, not having a job, she was anxious about raising a child on her own, and Mike threatened her, saying that if she wanted to keep custody, she needed to obey him for the rest of her life.
There's no way that's written in the diary. I don't want you making up stories to make me look bad in front of everyone.
No matter how assertively he spoke, Mike's complexion was becoming increasingly pale. His reaction strongly reaffirmed the truth of the diary's contents. Afterwards, Mike, overwhelmed with rage, started towards me, but the relatives present immediately restrained him.
You created this situation, and you think you can trap me. I will retaliate fiercely against any attempt to tarnish my reputation. Be prepared, because I will call the police and make sure you're arrested.
Before you say that, perhaps the police will be called on you. I'm going to expose your fraudulent behavior.
I firmly declared in a loud voice.
Stop shouting and accusing me in public. Are you planning to behave this way in front of everyone here? Calm down.
No matter how much people try to pretend on the surface, their true emotions and character will eventually be exposed. Mike's frightening gaze clearly shows the darkness within him. People around us were also surprised and condemning, murmuring words like,
I can't believe this man.
What is he thinking?
Noticing the atmosphere, Mike abruptly changed his attitude.
I'm sorry. I admit I got a bit agitated. I just wanted to say that what Emily wrote in her diary might have been a bit exaggerated. Everyone, please don't misunderstand.
Even in this situation, all he did was make excuses. The fact that Mike left my pregnant daughter outside in the cold is a significant legal issue.
As I said, if you have such clear evidence, you should present it immediately.
Despite feeling his mocking laughter behind his confident demeanor, I decided to respond calmly. Here's the evidence I secured. Before the funeral, I had asked to check the dashcam footage from a neighbor's car and found a video that perfectly captured the incident.
What?
The advancements in technology are wonderful. It's the latest model that records 24/7 even when the engine is off. Now, I'll be informing the police about this situation in detail. When I showed the S-card where the video data was saved, Mike's face turned pale and he clicked his tongue in frustration. In fact, before seeking cooperation from the neighbor, I had already informed the doctor who was treating my child about the circumstances and asked for their testimony if needed.
Enough. I want to settle this matter quietly here. I'll offer half of the life insurance and condolence money, so accept it.
Stop joking around. You can never bring my dear daughter back. If you think you can resolve this with money, you're gravely mistaken. You should experience the fear and despair my daughter felt, alone and cold.
I immediately contacted the police and relayed the details of the situation. Meanwhile, the relatives present at the venue united. They diligently watched over Ted, preventing him from escaping. You can't run anymore. Accept it. Before the police arrive, express your sincere regrets to Emily.
Emily, I'm truly sorry. If you can feel my feelings in the afterlife, all I can do is beg for forgiveness.
Mike, with a cunning demeanor, called out my daughter's name. He then looked at me with a serious gaze. He began to apologize deeply multiple times.
Mother-in-law, I am genuinely remorseful. If you'll withdraw your report to the police, I'll show my apology however many times you want. Please, can we keep this matter private? I beg you.
I silently shook my head, gazing for a long time at the face of my daughter, peacefully lying inside the coffin. Emily was genuinely looking forward to meeting her baby, but because of you, she was robbed of that joy and even her life. I will never forgive the grave mistake you committed. Under my stern gaze, Mike's face turned pale in an instant. His whole body started shaking in fear.
Please stop. I beg you.
Mike, trying to flee with unstoppable tears. But his relatives and friends forcefully held him down, immobilizing him. A few minutes later, he was handed over to the police officers who rushed to the funeral home. He was then taken away. When I looked, it felt like the face of my daughter, peacefully resting inside the coffin, was gently smiling. It seemed as if her soul was at peace. Now, Emily can move on to the afterlife with ease. There's nothing more to worry about. Thanks to the actual footage from the dashcam and the testimonies of those who witnessed the truth, it became clear that Mike was not innocent. He was sentenced to serve time in prison. What awaits him now are the days inside a high-walled prison, alongside other inmates. Losing his job and even his family, it's likely a very rough journey ahead for him. After that incident, his family often visited my home, expressing their sincere apologies to my daughter and me. I could see the genuine remorse on their faces. Mike didn't know, but actually, the child Emily was expecting was born healthy, and I'm now taking care of the baby, thanks to Emily's thoughtful decision to name me as the beneficiary of her life insurance. I might be able to use those funds for the child's future. Knowing that my grandchild is healthy and safe provides some solace to my heart. From now on, I plan to shower this child with all the love possible on behalf of my daughter and raise this child to the best of my ability.